Hey everyone, welcome to the Purpose Over Profits podcast. My name is Jeremy Powers, owner of Powers Insurance Experts.
And I'm Jim Floyd, owner of Ascent Total Performance.
And today with us on this podcast, we have a local celebrity, artist, and extraordinaire, McClellan Douglas, man. Happy to have you here with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. That's a big word, celebrity. I've never thought of myself as one. But yeah, my name is Charles McClellan Douglas Jr. I go by McClellan. You can attribute that to my mother, and but Mac is also okay, or whatever variation of that, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's it. I can always say I've been called a lot worse. I get called Jerry or Jerry. I'm like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I've been called worse. Let's go. So, well, man, we are pumped to have you here with us today. Ultimately, I got to know of you through the Crawfish Festival. I was at a space over there in that area. That was a canvas that you just absolutely made look amazing, because it's not, you do the regular artwork, on a piece of paper that people are used to, but what you do so incredibly is you take something and you can blow it on the side of you blow it up on the side of a building, and man, it just looks incredible.
Well, I appreciate it. What I love about doing large scale art, and I think what drew me to it, was the amount of detail I was able to get into it by having such a large canvas. I can really get in depth, I can get into the detail inside of somebody's eye, whereas a smaller canvas, you have less room for that, and you have to, make people see things that are there sometimes, But yeah, I absolutely love what I do, and I just it's almost like an addiction. After a while, you want to go bigger and more outrageous every time, and so it's been a fun journey.
Yeah. So I think it's really, really cool what you do, and seeing your stuff all around town. I want to go back to a conversation we were having right before we started to record about, Jeremy and I were talking about, there's just we can't fathom, how do you get this onto this huge, huge canvas that you're doing? And I'm just curious to hear about your process, and from kind of when you started doing that to where you are now.
Yeah, well, I guess, really when I started out, I was I sold canvas works, mostly. And then I got into portrait art and made a pretty decent living doing that. But then when I started getting into more larger scale artwork and doing these murals, it really did inspire me. So, I've always, wanted to push the envelope. Inside in my head, I'm a little bit of a, I feel like I'm Willy Wonka, I want to create a wonderland that everybody can live in and move around in, and, just be surrounded by things that are, inspiring to look at, and I think right now what's kind of amazing is, through, the past, I'd say, 20 years or so, so many companies own everything. So it's like everywhere you go, everything looks the same. Every city I go to now, has the same, 10 to 20 companies. And then, they have their own flavor. But what I'm seeing now is that in order to kind of reclaim these spaces from this kind of, drab look, other artists are starting to, speak on these walls. And really, it's like giving the community a chance to, express themselves beyond, what kind of corporate America has kind of forced us all to look at.
That's a crazy way to think about it. It's like you give the community an opportunity to say something through your artwork. That's purpose over profits right there, man. It takes a passion. It takes something like that. And so you have been here locally, but then really where you got your, I would say, fame in my eyes is actually sometimes, the joke is you can't be a hero in your own hometown. It was actually some stuff that you started to go for you outside of South Carolina. So can you talk a little bit about your journey of getting to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I just started, I just reached out to One Columbia along with a couple other local artists in the community, including Dre Lopez and Sammy Lopez. Sammy's doing amazing large-scale mural work. And that was our, that's been our issue since, we've been here. Is it like, it is a place where, artists, have a really hard time thriving. And what ends up always happening is we end up losing, and to cities close to us like Greenville or Charleston.
Yeah.
And, it's a really beautiful city. It's right in the middle of, three rivers meet in the middle of it. And I've always seen the potential for Columbia. But that's something that we're trying to address. But yeah, I actually, I just answered a Craigslist ad and ended up doing a trampoline park called High Wire in Sand Hill. And the owner of that company was from Provo, Utah. And they did a whole bunch of different kinds of trampoline parks and like 10 different trampoline companies under one umbrella company.
Oh, wow.
And so we started working from him and learning the trades. And then we started, he would trade us out to some of his other friends. And then we would start working with different companies as long as it didn't, bother each other. And then we ended up, becoming an independent kind of force in the whole industry because, the more power they gave me and the more control they gave me over the look of the entire park, the better these parks started to do.
Yeah.
And the more people, wanted to stay and become like, it really becomes like a family when, I was telling somebody the other day that, when you invest, when people see that you've invested in, a piece of real public art,
Yeah.
That an artist obviously took, weeks and maybe even months, working on, they feel like you invested in them, so
Yeah.
they will patronize, they will come in and support you.
Well, a quick side note, and we'll continue this journey. I don't want to miss one thing that you said I think was so vital, is that you answered an ad, you worked for someone,
right?
You gained expertise through being willing to be, let's just say, an employee in a sense of a company and do this, but you took that knowledge, and when the time was right, you said, thank you so much for what you've allowed me to accomplish, but it's time to spread my wings and fly.
Right.
It's time you work your way into that.
And just to speak on that, he actually approached me. He wanted to give me a contract to do all of his parks, and he wanted to pay me a smaller amount than I wanted for each one. And so I told him, let's just work on, I'm going to be a private contractor, and, I'd like to keep my own business. And so that's what I did. And in doing that, it gave me freedom to work with these other guys and start, to have, leeway, a little bit of room
That's
to work.
Great.
Yeah. And
I just think it's great to hear that because once again, it's smart to keep yourself safe, but it's also don't be scared to take those opportunities and grow because with that experience, that's what has allowed you to get to where you are today. And you can continue your story of how, I love how we're hearing your journey through it, but I just thought that was a nugget that we didn't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are times like, obviously this is a business and in order for me to succeed and do all the things that I want to do for this community, for myself, for everybody, I have to be successful. And I know that, becoming a businessman was part of that. And so, that's something that's not second nature to me, and I have to get a lot, I have a lot of people that help me.
Yeah.
But that's very important. Yeah. Your independence. Because, they are going to try to, take advantage of you. You're going to hear multiple times, this is going to be a great opportunity for you. This is, you should, this is great, exposure, all that kind of stuff, the same stuff you always hear. But you have to decide yourself if it is going to be exposure. Don't listen to them. They, they're going to tell you that. But when it's like the Crawfish Wall and the and even the Bob Marley piece, both of those were done when I was stuck in a place where I didn't have any work to do, and I was kind of getting frustrated by how long it was taking things to happen. So I just went out there and did it, and I figured those walls were strong enough that if I did a piece of artwork that was that I was inspired by, that it would inspire others and, and help me with my business in the future. And it has. It's gotten me, a ton of work. But it's not always going to be that way. You know, I mean, somebody says this will be good exposure, you know, and oftentimes, you know, it won't be.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're young, you'll start to learn, you know, who's being real with you and who's not. You know?
And that's important.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things we see with that too is you put yourself out there, and that created more opportunity for you. So
Right.
and I think that's a big lesson learned for all of us going through our different entrepreneurial journeys. Is you can't just expect everything to come.
No, you have to go out there and take it. They're not going to give it to you.
You went and did that, and then that created more opportunity.
Right.
That is a really, really powerful concept.
Yeah, and I think it's you know it's you know, might come second nature from an artist because he's kind of creating something from nothing anyway. We're kind of used to putting ourselves out there. In order to create great art, you have to look inside. You know, you have to find the things that touch you, because that's you know, that's what touches other people.
Yeah.
We're all as different as we are, and you know what I mean. Like, you know, I could create an image that I know, you know, could touch, you know, anybody's heart, really.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, besides, there's always going to be, you know, 5% of people that just want everything to be beige and don't like change and just do not, you know, or want to complain. But I mean, you know, we all going to live in a beige world because, you know, 5% of the population.
Well, you put yourself out there, and it gave you this exposure. You were smart, and you really kept yourself independent, you know, and I got to preach. I'm an independent insurance agent. You know, we're not stuck with one person. We've got most. So I love this independence that we're talking about here. And so, but one thing that I would say is that allowed really your story to unfold, because I think you've told me this isn't just an America thing. Like you've actually ventured overseas. Am I correct? Or,
yeah. Well, I mean, working with these different companies, I mean, what we specialize in doing now is, you know, we've worked with a lot of entertainment and amusement parks and facilities and clubs and so all these companies, you know, you come to find out everybody kind of knows each other. You know what I mean? And if you have a good reputation, and if you show up, you produce every time, then that's gold to these people, you know. And if they know they got a good guy, they will pass you along to whoever else because it looks good for them. You know, because they want to keep doing business with this person.
Yeah.
So, you know, and don't let people take advantage of you. But, you know, if you show up and produce, then those kind of opportunities will keep coming. And a lot of these companies, you know, they wanted to branch out overseas. The first time I got in an airplane since, you know, I think I was on one when I was a little kid, but you know, the first time I got on an airplane was to Hong Kong. And so it was like 19 hours in the air, you know, and like now I've spent so many hours in the air now, it's like nothing, but like I broke my legs, like going 19 hours to Hong Kong, you know, to a place I was terrified. Greatest experience of my life. I had my father with me. You know, when I started this company, it was just me and my father, had just retired. So, you know, he just kind of started working with me, and then eventually my sister ended up working with me. And, you know, when COVID happened, everybody kind of had to go their own way. And my dad's, you know, it was only so many times I could watch him walk across that scaffolding before I was just like, I knew he was going to go as long as he, you know, but yeah, and one of my oldest friends actually used to be the head chef for the governor's mansion under Haley and Sanford. He's just world class, like genius chef and artist. He's a great artist.
I think we need to test that though. We need to have a meal prepared.
Absolutely, man. I'm getting back out there, dude. Like, you know, we've spent the past, you know, we've working with these companies, you know, and we have traveled internationally. We've been to Helsinki and London and a bunch of other places. Like we want to take everything we've learned everywhere we went, and we've had a blast doing it. But we're both excited about, you know, finding a place, carving out a place here at home, you know, and building something here and working with local artists and trying to, you know, I want to see Columbia, you know, I want to see our music scene come back. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I want to see this place thrive.
But I could tell that before we even had this conversation through who you are and who you present yourself to be and what I know of you, man. That's what I love. I think Jim and I feel the same way. It's like this city's so beautiful. You know, I jokingly, if you go down to the 3rd floor of our building and go outside, I'll take you there before you leave. They've got this artificial grass. It looks beautiful. It has the lights. It feels like Greenville. And I hate having to say that. Like, why should, like, this is our capital city. Why do these other places get all this love and everything, man? But I love the way that you talk about Columbia. Man, if there's enough of us that are willing to invest. Like, you know, I've joined the It's Cola board, which is for information technology and trying to bring jobs to Columbia when everybody's going elsewhere. We're trying to bring it back to Columbia. And if there's enough people that are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to do something about it, man, that's when something beautiful happens. And I really do feel like we're this close.
I'm telling you, man, well, here's the thing is that, like, you know, funny thing happened is, like, all my old friends who moved off, you know, I mean, they're doctors and lawyers and doing all these different things, and they're all kind of talking to me about wanting to come home. You know, I mean, it's there's something about this place that's wonderful. You know, I mean, it's South Carolina and it's got good Lord some kind of history, boy. But you know what I mean? It's like there is something beautiful about this city. You know, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. I think we are, you know, in the midst of a renaissance.
Well, like I think you can see Columbia as an open canvas. You know what I mean? When you have a creative mindset, like, that's it. It's when you have a creative mindset. That's what I love about creativity is you can see something for what it isn't yet. You can actually, like, you can see something for what it can be. And whether that's you seeing potential in someone, or whether that's you seeing potential in a city and what it can become if the right people are willing to do the hard things and to get it where it needs to be. But that's why I don't doubt that you see what Columbia could be, is because that's how your mind works. You look at an ugly wall, a blank wall, and you're like, man, that's a beautiful canvas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it really is, you know, and, you know, with Charleston, like, I mean, with the weather and how things are going, you know, I mean, Columbia is just going to be, I mean, it's a really good investment to live here, I think, you know, and tend to buy property here in the future. They're talking about doing all kinds of things. I think USC is talking about opening up a new entertainment district down there by the stadium, which I'm sure the people that live around 5 Points are excited about. You know what I mean? But yeah, 5 Points is becoming, you know, I mean, I've got, let's see, 2 pieces now. I got one old one on the side of the Village Idiot that, you know, after a couple of years, I hate it, every piece I do, you know, and like, that one is funny because Kelly and Glenn, you know, the first time they paid me to do it, it was this little guy standing, and I kind of did the best I could do at that time as an artist. And then the second one was the one that's up there now. And, you know, right now it's just been driving me crazy for years because, you know, I got the Bob Marley one fixed up right. And I think there's a couple other murals that are going there that are going to look really clean. I think Shelley LeBlanc's about to do one there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. And I want to get that one fixed up. So yeah, you're right. I'm looking at 5 Points. Like there's also another one I want to do, and another one, there's one that I think Sammy should do. And then there's another one that I want to do, but I can't tell which walls yet because, like, you know, they're all in the works.
Well, how long does it go? Like, what does the process look like from let's just say I said tomorrow, like, hey, we've got this beautiful wall over here. I want you to make insurance look sexy. You know what I mean? Like, let's put it on a wall. Let's make it happen. What is that like storyboard was from? Like, what is it? What goes into it? And then how long does it actually take to create something?
Well, I mean, not as long as you would think. I mean, really what I do is, you know, I would do research on what y'all do first and figure out what's the best way for me to portray that in an inspiring way. And for me, you know, I'm trying not to lean so heavy on the portrait work anymore because I've done so much portrait work around Columbia. I want to kind of move away and you know, work on, you know, some other aspects of my artwork. But like yeah, I would find a way. But having y'all's portrait, you know, like the three of y'all and what y'all are doing, I mean, like that would make total sense. And you know, some aspects of Columbia, but I would sit down and think about it and talk to you about it. One thing, you know, I mean, I love having my own. I have my own vision on a lot of artwork, but I also love working with clients and figuring out what they want. what makes them happy, and showing them things and seeing their eyes light up and go, oh, that's what they like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like, how can I make that really cool? So that whole process to me is a lot of fun.
I would love to see your physical therapy clinic, just that wall in the back.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll
just
pop.
see,
Yeah.
just
Absolutely.
the see the needles that he shoves into my back, just up on a wall, so I could have PTSD from. No, but I just could see some cool stuff.
We could do a projection mapping on it.
Oh, wow, that's so great.
And have black light respondent paint, so that when you light it with different lights and cut it on, it starts to move and change, and different videos move through it. We've actually mapped the Bob Marley one. When we find a reason, it's just like, you have to do it at nighttime. So whenever we can find a reason, we're gonna light that thing up, and they're gonna have a show out there.
That's so awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think the big thing that I gather from hearing your story and all that stuff, and it's really cool that you've got this just multitude of experiences all over the world and doing these high level things, all that. But you wanted to come back to Columbia to really bring that to this community.
To tell you, like, this really is my home, man. Like, my roots go so deep here. My grandmother, my grandfather, very respected, because McClellan Douglas, he was the postmaster general, and for some years, and my grandmother she taught at Flora. The first year they opened.
Okay.
So like between the two of them, they knew everybody.
Yeah.
And his mother was a very special woman. Emily Douglas, she taught all the neighborhoods and the kids, and looked after all the kids in the neighborhood, and kind of built this little like schoolhouse for them, like the pre-kid, and in this little, hole in the earth next to in Shandon, and they ended up making a park out of it, naming it after.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And it's everywhere I look, it's just like I can just see my family and my my history, and like, yeah.
Well, something that I think is incredible, and something that you have Jim, you have standards, kind of like what you can kind of charge. You can obviously go around that, and you have your services that you provide. This is the way we do business. For me, I might have 12 carriers. I might have Allstate and Safeco and Progressive and Travelers and all these different carriers. But, I put everything into a system, and I build out the product, and I believe that we're, working and creating the best policy to fit our clients' needs. But at the end of the day, they make the product.
Yeah.
Where we're very different, both of us from you, is that, man, it takes a little bit of courage, cockiness. Something's got to happen for you to be able to start going from everyone thinks it should be free and I should just do it for them to like, hey, I'm worth it. I've got to put a price tag on it. So we don't get this opportunity very often. And I would love to peel back the layers of this onion for you, which I'm sure has been something that's constantly been going. How did you go from, hey, give me $20 and a pizza to like, hey, this is what it costs to do business, because we're going to do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, first off, I remember my father told me one time, he was like, if you're going to do this, I was working in the kitchen at the time, and I was kind of going nowhere in my early 20s. I had this talent. I always know I wanted to do something with it. But he said, go at it like a 40-hour week job, quit. It's going to be tough. You got family that loves you, do whatever you can. Like, he'd see me. Wow. So, port like drawings and sketches and like a couple paintings. He knew I could do it, so I just did. I went at it like a full-time job, and it wasn't long before I was showing up places and selling artwork. But it really comes with experience and really just the experience, because after a while, after the all the practice that you've done, you can become confident in yourself. And I do a lot of studying. I know what all the great artists are charging. I know what everybody else is charging, and I stay around. I don't go wild and try to I have. For me, it's about time. How much time is it going to take me to do it? Yeah. And we're very efficient, because, like, especially if we're going out of town, we can't waste a day, because it costs us money every day.
Yeah.
So, when we're there, I come up with a price that We pay for all the cost of materials, lifts, travel, all that kind of stuff. We take care of everything, and the client can just, be free.
Yeah.
I've come up with a price that works for us where, we're making an amount of money that, I feel comfortable with, but, also our clients do, because they see what happens after they spend this investment. And some of them are scared to death.
Yeah, sure.
Some of these guys I work with, man, this is their first trampoline park or business, and they are, freaking out about everything. Yeah. Oh God,
Yeah.
But I hold their hand through, because I've seen so many people do it, and another, we have great relationships with these clients, and we keep up with them, and we like to keep them informed. I don't cross talk with my other clients, especially in the industry, but if I see something that they're lacking, that I know, isn't giving away secrets on somebody else, I'm going to give them that information, give them, and we become a resource for them.
You found your niche, and you're an expert in that niche, and that's what life's about. There's riches in the niche, and that people say niches. That rhymes more, but riches in the niche.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, I'm not, not at a certain type of echelon. There's some artists out there now that are getting paid money that I just, I can't fathom. You know what I mean? And like, and even their prints and their reproductions are just,
But if you could just go back to that day when you were confident enough to say a number to someone, remember, this podcast is purpose over profit. So we're not sitting here putting our eye on the money, but where you could turn, I know we've probably had it with coaching clients. I was thinking about the best way I could say is when it comes to coaching, or, we just landed a speaking engagement that had a decent price tag on it. And I'm like, what? Like, you're saying, like, what I bring to the table is worth that. So I just wish we could go back and see that moment, because what a confidence builder. Man,
it's still, honestly, it's still hard for me to charge what I know I'm worth. You know what I mean? I always undersold myself in the beginning, and I still undersell myself sometimes, because, for me, every project has to be the best. It has to be the next best project, or what am I doing? They'll be like, oh, he's slipping. It's not looking as good. You know what I mean? It has to so I always put in that extra work, and sometimes it costs me, and I don't end up making, what I want to. But you have to just keep pushing yourself and keep raising, and know that you're worth this. You know what I mean? If somebody's willing to pay it, go high, go way high. You know what I mean? Because all you have to do is do a great job.
Yeah.
You do a great job, then it's worth whatever they pay.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And and if they, and if later on they're like, oh wow, they paid too much, you'll be like, well, look at it, it's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just have that confidence, and they're gonna balk, they're gonna laugh, they're gonna say all kinds of things, but you just move on and go to the next client, and and tell them the same thing, because and a lot of these guys that you're dealing with, they're businessmen. You know what I mean? So
sure,
and they know an artist. They know you start telling an artist, what I'm saying, I don't like this. It's not even they know how to hit you.
Oh,
you know what
sure.
I mean? Yeah. So you just got to be confident.
I'm sure that, and I'm sure you've had a big progression.
And once you've done the work, though, I'm sorry to cut you off. Once you've done the work, man, that confidence will be there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so I'm sure over the years you've had a progression too of that confidence and your comfort level in quoting increasing prices and different things like that. And I think that's a big lesson for everybody out there, because especially starting out, usually we're not going to be as confident in what we're doing. And so you're going to, whether it's some imposter syndrome in there or whatever it would be, of we're not totally comfortable in commanding this rate for what we're doing. I'm assuming in your case, it got easier as you go and get more confidence. I think that's the same for both of us as well. And, but ultimately it's about knowing what you're worth. And leaning into that and not accepting, it's
I ended up basically creating my own paint scale, so when they look at it, they can see this is how much time you're going to be spending about this month. You know, and
that's great.
Depending on, you know, the detail also.
And it's the confidence that you have when you tell someone, this is the way it is. This is what I've created. I've really gotten it down. I love how you said, like, we're not going to waste time. Time is valuable to us. And you've said multiple times, like, I'm a perfectionist. That's who I want. But who it reminds me of is some local artists I would love to connect you with. They're different than you, though. You've got Thomas Humphreys, who, if you go and walk the park, he's the one who takes all the scrap metal and he builds these beautiful pieces of art.
Oh, yeah. But I've seen his work.
It's incredible. But someone I'd love to connect, someone different than you, but man, still so gifted. But he also does some roofing stuff on the side, and these are clients of ours, and I met him, and it's like, that's the guy you want working on your roof, because he's not leaving until it's perfect. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd be the best, like, you know, sure, this is not, I'm just making this example, like, you would be so meticulous the way that you are about your art if you were that about physical therapy or about insurance, whatever it may be, that it's going to be done right because you care so much, and it shows. But, you know, then there's also Rob Shaw with Rob Shaw Gallery and Framing down the street. Like, when it comes to when it comes to framing, incredible. When it comes to his beautiful artwork, it's like the attention. He's like, I've gone over this canvas 7 times, and I'm like, I'm sure the last 6 I would have paid money for. Like, but to him, it's not that. And man, that is just something.
Rob can spend the amount of time on one canvas that I just don't have, like, the, you know. You know, it's like, you know, I try. I mean, I really, you know, like, but yeah, I guess I'm a little bit different artist like that.
But I love that you guys can be different, but yet you can also still collaborate. And what it reminds me of is, I have a friend who's a dentist, Julia McClellan. You know, I know a lot of you know Julia. She does it, but I would say a lot of dentists, when I've sat down with her and I'm like, why are suicide rates and, you know, things so high in these certain issues? And it's because, like an artist, they're so meticulous. And everyone already kind of doesn't like them, just like an artist. Nobody wants to pay them what they're worth. What I want to talk about for a moment is how easy it is to kind of, you're already your own biggest critic. Like you said, I passed by my artwork and 3 years later, I hate it. You know what I mean? And then maybe you hear some negative criticism because somebody's jealous that they can't do it that way, or they pretend that they could do it better, you know, and all these different things. Like, what do you do to keep yourself on the right side of an industry that, man, like, you're literally putting yourself out there every time you put your paintbrush in the air?
So I reach out to other artists. Yeah, straight up. Like, I reach out to other artists, and for me, I mean, honestly, I'm very lucky. I come from a very loving, supporting family, and, you know, they've been so supportive of me through, and I put, you know, they didn't know what to do with me when I was a kid. I was, you know, it was kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had, like, it was bananas, but the artwork just seemed to be, you know, so they were so supportive of it. But reaching out to other artists has been very important to me, you know, you know, because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I don't mind speaking about the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic, and you know what I'm saying? Like, when, you know, I have to go to meetings with people who understand me and what I'm going through. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because I can, you know, I mean, a lot of people, and they love me, and they, you know, of course they know and they understand, and they've seen what I've gone through and all that kind of stuff, but they don't really understand, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's the same way with an artist, you know what I mean? Like, people have lots of conceptions that this stuff comes easy to us, and they don't really kind of understand how much torment we go through, and how much, you know, how much really comes out of us and into this canvas. And yeah, so reaching out to other artists and you know, and picking each other up and talking, because, I mean, and, you know, because later on, I mean, when I can't do a project, I can send it to them, and you know, it just, it becomes another community. Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, there's some artists that, and I appreciate their work, but they sit alone in, you know, their own little room, and they don't come out, and they don't, you know.
It's a sad world.
But for me, but for me, man, I love working with them. I want to, but yeah, they understand me. They understand that crazy.
And so I think one thing, and I think everybody would agree, is that, you know, we really respect just the courage to put yourself out there daily with things too. Yeah. So we're starting to run a little bit short on time. So definitely wanted to shift into, so what really, I want to know, what's been something that's been a big inspiration for you, a big resource for you as you've kind of grown in your career?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, you know, the technology, the advances in technology,
Mhm.
and also other artists. You know what I mean? I was going to say, when you asked me that question before, like as a resource, as an artist, reach out to other artists.
Yeah.
Find that community, because they'll build you up. You know, they'll hold you up when you're feeling low and when you need inspiration. And but yeah, like you can be so self-sufficient now. It's unbelievable. Like, I mean, I remember like back when, God, I mean, you'd have to go in a newspaper ad to find out if anybody was doing, or just go knock door. Hey man, I mean, like right now you can find anything online, and any technique I want to learn, you know, some of the best in the world are right there teaching you for free on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, spending what they were, I think they were charging like $40,000 a year when I was younger to go to SCAD.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it really does. But I mean, I've never been that much teachable, man. All my art teachers, and like one of the most, you know, the one that gave me the most inspiration, just kind of like let me do my thing.
Yeah.
And was just excited about it.
Well, two things, and then I'll let you make a connection where everyone can follow and learn, and then hopefully, Daniel, if this podcast ends on video, you can like just post some of the images of his work at the end of this, so you guys that are watching it with us can see like what we're talking about and give them that exposure. But I just have two things, not really questions, but just things I want to say.
Sure.
Number one is, man, you've got an incredible father. I just want to tell you, like right then and there, someone's willing to travel with you, be there with you,
Yeah.
but also like I hope that one day my children will say, I had this thing that I was really good at, and maybe I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and my father or my mother
Yeah.
is the one that inspired me to take a chance on myself. Like
both of them. To be
both
sure, my
yeah,
mother, like,
your mother and your father,
Yeah.
like inspired you
Yeah.
to take a chance yourself. And I mean, man, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, what are we doing? Because like you said, like it's not always about science or you know, history, or you've got to do like art is art is such a beautiful thing, and it's something that our world needs. And I love that they inspired you to that. And then number two, going back to David Jackson when he was on there talking about the group, what I would say really helped me to become the best insurance agent I can is having a group on Facebook that I could go to of people that were going through my same problems. They understood what I was going through. So many things you talked about with local artists. I think that this is further proof that, man, to have accountability and resources and people that are going through those same things you are, and to have family who supports you, man, and then or a significant
build a
spouse
community, man. Like, that's my
community.
biggest thing for everybody as a human being. Just build your community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make it as vast and as far as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that is a surefire way to live an easier and healthier life.
That's great.
Yeah.
So McClellan, we want to give you an opportunity to shout yourself out. So
All right.
how can people access your work, be able to see your work, or reach out to you if they're interested?
Yeah, well, I mean,
with
the
you.
easiest way to do it is if you want to follow I show the progress of everything I do.
So
I kind
fun to
of break it down. I let you see even the sketch and everything. But on Instagram, it's at Interactive Artworks, and my website is interactiveartworks.com. And you know, you can call me on my business line. It's 803-381-4256. Or email me. All that information's on my website.
Yeah.
And you just contact me, tell me what you want to do, and I'll get back in touch with you soon with an estimate.
Great. And what about an aspiring artist? I'm assuming you're more than happy for someone that just
They do. I encourage them to often. Yeah. Young artists are always, you know, calling me and asking me what materials to do this, materials. I'm happy to. You know, I have because I've done this so long, and I have a whole bunch of equipment to do all this stuff. So if they need it, you know, they can come over and borrow it. You know,
well, one thing I can say I love about you, man, and from our time together, is you have a heart of a giver.
Yeah.
And man, and I'm so excited that Columbia was your home, and that you've come here and this is your canvas, man. I've really enjoyed you being on the show, and I would say, man, I'm so excited, not for what's happened, but for what's to come in your life.
Absolutely.
No, I'm very humble for you asking me, man. Absolutely. Yeah. No, and I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a really great episode.
Yeah,
Great
thank
hearing
you,
your
guys.
whole thing and just your progression, and just we're looking forward to seeing all the great things that you're going to continue to do.
Hey, I'm looking forward to doing it, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping up with you guys too, man.
Yes,
Yeah, this is awesome.
Well, you guys, entrepreneurs out there, we're hoping this excites you. We hope it does something for you. We hope it gets you pumped up to go out there and just take on this world. And so, man, just remember purpose over profits, and we'll see you next time.